식구님 안녕하세요. 반갑습니다.
Dear members, hello, good morning. Nice to see you.
지난번에 이어서 오늘 또 이렇게 단상이 없이
Continuing from last week, I am in charge of today's lecture. Just now, the couple Gonhan Choi and LT shared with us a really interesting testimony. They became a couple with the ancestry of 4 countries merged into one. Everything, including customs, traditions, and habits, are all different. But what touched my heart the most was that they grew up learning from each other by becoming teacher and student to each other while respecting and understanding each other's differences. Let us once again give a round of applause for happiness and encouragement for Gonhan Choi and LT family. The 10-day Azalea Festival came to an end last week. It was a festival period that was immersed in charm of the beautiful and colorful azalea flowers more than any other year. Many family members from all over the country came to the original Garden of Eden together as a church or family, and by watching them wearing pretty hanbok and taking pictures, it made me think that people are more beautiful than flowers. I was so happy just by looking at the joyful visitors. It seemed that the hearts of the family members who had been withdrawn due to the COVID for the past 2 years were completely healed by being fascinated by the beautiful Cheongpyeong Lakeside and Azalea Garden. Today is the 3rd Sunday of May, the month of family, and today is also the Teacher's Day. Last week, the Parents' Day Festival was held at the Peace World Center with Mother of Peace. Therefore, today, I prepared a sermon with the title of True Teacher, True Parents Way in order to engrave the meaning of these 2 days in our hearts. In the old days, teachers seemed greater than parents. So I felt more indebted to my teachers than towards to my parents. Of course, my parents gave me birth to me and raised me, so there is no way to measure the grace. But my teacher, despite the fact that they are not parents who gave birth to me, they taught me to be a righteous person with the heart of loving and caring me as a student. Therefore, such grace is higher than heaven. And in front of the teacher's authority, even the parents has no choice but to bow their heads in respect. In fact, until 8 years ago, every year on Teacher's Day, all students attached carnations to their teacher's heart with respect, and even gave them a heartful gift and heartful thank you letter. For most teachers, this day was probably the happiest and most rewarding day of the year as a teacher. Even after graduating, it was a warm and beautiful scene where it was common to visit past teachers every year to share warm heart between teachers and students. However, as the so-called Kim Yong-nan Act from the so-called Improper Solicitation Act was enacted in 2015, it became a reality that no small gift or even a carnation could be given to a teacher. Teacher's Day was truly sad and depressing, and in the worst case, to the point that some schools were closed on Teacher's Day. A few years ago, a day before Teacher's Day, a netizen who identified themselves as high school teacher posted writing on the bulletin board of the Blue House National Petition Board with the title, "Please abolish Teacher's Day." I can't help but deplore the world in which it is sent to receive a flower or a letter from the children I teach to express their gratitude just one day a year. Therefore, I would be more at ease if you would rather eliminate this Teacher's Day, which has become inconvenient and burdensome for teachers, parents, and students alike. Of course, it's not just the teacher's fault, nor the parents' or students' fault that it has gotten to this point. It is just one aspect of the disastrous educational scene caused by bad practices and excessive competition. It is a world where we miss the true teacher who teaches the student with love and the heart of a true parent more than ever. In this way, true respect and love should be revived between a teacher and student in our educational field. In that sense, if I thanked my parents for the grace of my parents last week, it would be great to find our teacher in our life who became a compass for our life and who have given us valuable teachings this week, and give them a small gift or say thank you through Kakao Talk. Reverend Sung Myung Moon and Dr. Han Moon spoke a lot about true teacher. Let's reread one of the contents shared by the three generations of Park Gi-ok Konsanim's family who gave a wonderful Hoon-deuk before. It is a passage from Cheonseongeong, page 1411. Our parents are our first and greatest teachers. As true teachers, the parents' primary responsibility is to raise true children. Children who are brought up by true parents through a true and good family education progress easily through their school education, which is the next stage. School provides an institutional education, but even within that framework, teachers have the responsibility to guide and educate their students with the heart of true parents to become true children. By this, I mean that they need to conduct horizontal academic education on the foundation of vertical character education. A teacher's first qualification is thus to possess the heart of a true parent. He said that the first and best teachers among the teachers are parents, and that children who grow up after receiving a true and good home education from true parents are automatically connected to school education. He said that the teacher who teaches at school also has the responsibility of raising and educating all students as true children with the heart of a parent. To that extent, a teacher is not just a word that refers to a teacher who teaches academic studies at school, but it can also be seen that all those who give true teachings to our lives at home, at school, and in life in general become our teachers. Reverend Sung Myung Moon, true father, and true mother, Dr. Hak Ja Moon, are respected a true teacher by many leaders and people all colors around the world today. I would like to introduce you to all of the tearful and tumultuous hardship life of true parents, but to hear them all, a few days will probably not be enough. So at this time, I'm going to share with you a short part of their life. After liberation in 1946, according to God's instructions, Reverend Sung Myung Moon went up to Pyongyang, which was then called the Jerusalem of the East, to preach the revealed word of new truth. Fascinated by the truth preached by the 26-year-old young man, the number of believers exploded in a short period of time. However, he was caught by the Communist Party due to the rejection of the Christians and sentenced to 5 years in prison on the absurd charge of disturbing social order and then imprisoned in Hungnam prison, which is called a prison of prisons. In that prison, even healthy people usually die from heavy labor and pneumonia within 6 months to 1 year, but Reverend Moon endured 2 years and 8 months by training his body with his unique, strong mental power. Just then, in the midst of indiscriminate bombardment of Hungnam prison by the UN forces on June 26, riot broke out in 1950, he was resurrected with the help of heaven, and he and his disciples climbed the road to escape and finally arrived in Busan at dawn on January 27, 1951, 58 days later. On that cold winter day, the shabby figure of Reverend Moon, who was dressed in rags and had nowhere to eat or sleep, could not be but the image of one of the poorest beggars in the world. Just like the pitiful image of Jesus, who came as the Messiah and Savior to save the world for 2,000 years, but was driven and persecuted without anyone knowing, and he was crucified at age 33. Who would have seen and followed him and believed that he was the only begotten Son, sent by the heaven as the Messiah, the Savior who would save mankind? At that time, Busan was so crowded with refugees that there was no time to set foot. There was no space to set foot. In the land of Busan, where there is no one to depend on, True Father met a friend named Moon, who was his best friend from when he was studying in Japan. After that, Mr. Moon became Korea's best architect, designing the Sejong Center for the Performing Arts, Lotte Hotel, Little Angels Arts Center, and Sungmun University. It is said that he was barely living in a single room when he was newlywed, but as soon as he met Reverend Moon, he willingly led him to his house and lived with him until Reverend Moon found a room. On page 130 of Reverend Moon's autobiography, Peace-Loving People of the World, he records the details of his meeting with Mr. Moon. Let's read one passage. I told my story for the first time at Moon's house. The story didn't end overnight. It took me 3 days and 3 nights to talk about meeting God and my new realization, crossing the 38th parallel and starting a church in Pyongyang, and surviving the Hungnam prison. After hearing the story, Moon jumped up from his seat and bowed to me in a big way. No, what's going on? I grabbed his hand and dragged him to get up, but he refused. He said, "From now on, you will be the great teacher in my life. This is my way of greeting my master, my teacher, so please accept it." Since then, Mr. Moon has been a lifelong friend and has been by my side as a disciple. Let us give a round of applause to Mr. Moon. Although it was a very brief episode of Reverend Moon's life, these cases continued throughout his life, and countless leaders around the world became disciples after receiving his teachings. It was the same with the life of Reverend Dr. Hak Ja-han Moon. On page 325 of her autobiography, The Mother of Peace That Wipes the Tears of Humanity, she wrote about the difficult life she went through for the salvation of humankind after marrying Reverend Sun Myung-moon. As we walked the path of true parents, my husband and I were always the same. This was to fulfill the duty, the mission of filial piety before God, and to establish a world of peace. Along the way, the misunderstanding and persecution we have suffered over the past few decades has been harsh indeed. The defamation by some religious people, let alone successive governments, were very malicious. However, my husband and I were patient, preaching the word of God and showing true love. By going through all hardships like that, the number of people who believe in and follow True Mother are in more than 190 countries and is increasing day by day. Let us give a big round of applause once again. As we saw at the World Summit 2020 held at Kintax 2 years ago, and the 2022 Peace Summit for the Korean Peninsula held in February this year, amid the severe situation of the COVID virus, now many presidents, prime ministers, lawmakers, and religious leaders around the world are following and serving Reverend Sun Myung-moon and Reverend Dr. Hak Ja-moon as the true teacher and true parents of humankind. However, the life led by them was a miracle of creating something out of nothing in a word, until they came out of such a phenomenal foundation, a life of pilgrim who put their blood, sweat, tears, and life into it, and true love even for the enemy who tried to kill them. It was a life of a great saint who embraces and forgives. Just as it is said that even parents cannot help but love a filial child, God will surely get stuck in the presence of the two filial children who have relieved God's sorrow, tears for the first time in 6,000 years and made God's dreams and wishes come true. Long ago, when I was pastoring in the rural area, I found virtuous leaders and invited them to attend a seminar for the appointment of peace ambassadors in Japan. At that time, a leader who came back impressed had said this to me. I have been living almost at the same time as Reverend Moon, and I am struggling because it is difficult to run a small factory, and it is not easy to be respected by my own family. Reverend Moon is truly amazing that he can receive such respect and admiration from so many leaders. The pastor who has known and followed this great man for a long time is also great, and I feel really envious about that. He said he is envious to me. I still vividly remember what he said. Soon the day when the teachings of Reverend Sun Myung-moon and Dr. Hak Ja-moon will be fully revealed to the world, and the world will surely envy all those who are sitting here now who have been one step ahead of others and have followed the two leaders as true teachers. 아주. Let's change the atmosphere for a moment. Do you know the song Teacher's Grace? Let us sing this together since today is the Teacher's Day. Every year on Teacher's Day, this song is played in each classroom in school, and it is a memorable song that deeply moved the teachers and the students. I found out there is no Teacher's Day in Japan nearby, so maybe you don't have any memory about it, but our Cheonan Church ensemble team will come forward and sing this teacher's song of grace. If you know, please sing along. Thank you. Then we will greet the ensemble team with applause.
모두 정말 감사와 감동의 노래를 하시면 좋겠습니다. 하늘 같아서 물고로 볼수록 높아만지네 창개거라 바르고 가르쳐주신 스승의 마음을 버리시나 고마라
부모님의 은혜도 갚을 길이 없지만
Yes, it's truly a touching song. In fact, there was no way I could repay my parents' kindness, but the thought came to me that there was no way to repay all of our teachers' kindness. Dear members, today we are truly blessed to have met the true teachers of humankind, to learn his teachings, and to realize the true meaning of his life. However, it is also true that the name of the disciple who received the teaching of the true teacher is not fully practiced according to the teachings. However, even if we cannot stand in a position that is respected worldwide, shouldn't we first become respected true parents and respected teachers, starting from our children and our families? In that regard, I would like to mention just two of the many practical virtues that should be modeled in order to become true teachers and true parents in our family. First, you need to set an example. It's not important to be good at speaking or talking, saying something. There must be sincerity and trust in what the parents say. It is how much you respect your children's personality, speak truthfully, and listen carefully to what your children is saying. However, if you become angry or swear on a regular basis, say things that is inconsistent, or say something that ignores your children's personality, the door to dialogue and communication with children and parents will be closed. Second, you need to set an example through action. No matter how wonderful what you say may be, who will follow it if it is not first followed through action of your own life? Therefore, the most important thing is that you must show consistency in your words and actions in front of your children. Furthermore, we have to show the image of a good couple and the life we give for others. Young children who are like a blank sheet of paper are expected to learn from watching how their parents' lives as they are. In particular, once you make a promise to your child, you must keep it as much as possible. If you break your promises too easily and make too many promises that you can't keep, even that will be taken for granted. We must never forget that all these things we learn at home are important education that has a huge impact on our children's lives. Dear members, today in the time for Teacher's Day, I focused on the sermon on the path of the true teacher. But last week was Mother's Day, so I prepared something to think about filial piety once more. In a way, in front of a true teacher, disciple with a filial piety who respects the teacher is bound to appear. And in front of true parents, filial sons and daughters who want to serve their parents with a sincere heart, even if no one tells them to, will appear naturally. If you look at the short story written by Yu Jia-jin of the Song Dynasty of China, you can see this. It is said, "He who loves his parents will not be hated by others, and he who honors his parents will not be despised." Yes, this is really true. Furthermore, isn't there an old saying that filial piety is the root of all conduct? In the Bible, Ephesians 6 line 2, it is written, Honor your father and mother, which is the first commitment with a promise that it may go well with you and that you may enjoy long life on the earth. In this way, children who respect and show filial piety to their parents are blessed with all things going well for a long life. Reverend Sung Myung-moon and Dr. Hak Chan-moon also spoke a lot about this filial piety. There is a passage in 천성경 500, page 573. It is not that parents teach their children to be a filial and make them filial. You must be able to make the mind to filial piety arise on their own. This doesn't happen overnight. It has to be done over a long period of time. In other words, he said that the filial piety is not something that is taught at home or at school, but that the heart to do filial piety should arise naturally. He said that it does not happen overnight, but that parents should influence their children over a long period of time. Now, on page 279 of Dr. Hakjan's autobiography, The Mother of Peace Who Wipes the Tears of Humanity, there are a passage that says, if a child can do what a parent does for a child, the child is truly a filial son. Before you can become loyal, you must first become a filial son and become a family that loves your brothers and sisters. A man and a woman cannot become the true filial sons and daughters until they get married. Those who show their children in front of their parents are true sons and daughters of filial piety. She said that the parents must first show their children. As the old saying goes, the filial piety is born in a family of filial piety. Filial piety is bound to be passed down from generation to generation. It means that the sons and daughters are to be filial to their parents as much as their parents are filial to their own parents. More importantly, you must be filial to your parents while they are still alive. In most cases, it is only after the death of the parents that we cry in regret for not doing better and well for them. If you can, you should visit them more often, contact them more often, buy them delicious fruit more often, and show them beautiful places. In fact, even my wife have not been able to visit their Japanese parents, who are close to 90 years old, for over 2 years due to COVID virus, so she feels very disappointed and sad about that. Even though the situation of COVID has gotten better, since the flight routes have not yet been opened because it is in the countryside, I feel sorry at the thought of what if they suddenly become ill or have bad health conditions. I'm sure many other Japanese missionaries, members are in the same situation. Here I would like to introduce an example that has been uploaded on the internet for a moment. This is probably something you already know and heard a lot about. It is the story of a magpie of a father and a son. One day, an 83-year-old father and a 53-year-old son were sitting on the living room floor. Just then, a magpie flew by the window and sat down. His father, who had dementia, asked, "Son, what is that?" "Father, that is magpie." "Okay, yes, thank you." My father asked the second time, "Son, what is that?" As if annoyed, the son said, "I just told you, it is magpie." "Thank you." "Okay, thank you." After a while, the father asked again a third time, "Son, what is that?" The son, annoyed, said in a big voice, "I just told you, magpie. You don't understand?" The father, who was upset by the cold tone of his son, went into the room without a word, and the father pulled out an old diary he kept in his drawer and handed it to his son. The diary was written by his father when he was 33 years old. "Today I was sitting with my cute 3-year-old son on the main floor. Just then a magpie flew by and stopped by the window. My curious little son asked me, 'Dad, what's that?' 'Son, it is called a magpie.' The son asked again, 'Dad, what's that?' And I replied, 'Son, it is magpie.' The son asked again and again. My son asked 23 times continuously. I didn't know why my heart was so happy when I answered magpie 23 times. My son was so cute and lovable. I held him in my arms. The older son, who read the diary was silently in tears. Yes, that's right. The child gets annoyed after their parents asked him only 3 times. Even saying the same thing 2 or 3 times, it bothers them. However, parents are just as happy and loving as if their child asked 23 times. That is the heart of parents. Please visit your parents often and give them filial piety before it is too late. Dear members, on the occasion of Teachers' Day today, I gave a speech with the title of True Teacher, True Parents. The way of the true teacher and true parents. As I repeat, today we are truly blessed to have met Reverend Sung Myung-moon and Reverend Hak Ja-moon, who came as true teachers and true parents of humankind, the only begotten son and daughter sent by God. And although it was only partial, I was able to learn directly or indirectly through the teaching and I saw the noble life of the two who became the eternal symbol for us. Now, by imitating the teachings and the lives of the two true parents, today we too must walk the path of true parents, the path of true teachers. So let us do our best every day to live a happy and rewarding life for a life that is not ashamed in front of the heaven and leaves no regrets forever. Thank you. Let us pray together. Dear loving Heavenly Parents, today on this Sunday service, on the day of the Teacher's Day in the Pyeongwan-Yuri, we have shared, thank you for giving us the words of the way of true teachers and true parents. Us who are attending true parents, we have to understand how precious we are to be able to attend true parents. And although in front of the perfect true parents, we are not perfect student, perfect children, but we want to again make determination to become better every day. Let us live our life fully in front of you. I pray all this in the name of Kim Hong-deuk, Blessed Central Family, Aju.